Dear children, we are going to see about components of a computer. Here we can see what are the various parts or various components available in a computer. Actually, computer is the combination of hardware and software. Without hardware, we can't tell it as a computer, or without software also we can't tell it as a computer. So computer is the combination of both hardware and software. What is that hardware? Hardware is the physical component of a computer. What is that physical component? Physical component means physically we can see the components like motherboard, memory devices, monitor, keyboard, etc. When you see this is a keyboard input device, we can see physically. This is the output device, monitor. Actually, this is not a processor, this is case only. The motherboard and memory device available in this case only. So this is the simple part only called it as a processor. Along with the processor, some other input output port, memory slot and 24 power supply pin also available here. So this motherboard and memory device available in this case only. So these are the physical component of a computer. What is that software? Software is a set of programs or instructions. Set of programs or instructions called it as software. Both hardware and software together make the computer system to function successfully. Next we can see the functional components of a computer. All we know, every computing device must have three important things. One is input, second one is process and third one is output. So every task given to the computer follows an input, process and output, which cyclic process is called it as IPO cycle. Based on user's input value, the processor does some process. Based on the processor process, it is producing some output. So the input unit takes the input, the central processing unit does the processing of data and the output unit produces the result which is called it as output. Let us see here. Here keyboard is the input device. So through the keyboard, user can give the input values. Who is user? Who is using the system? Who is giving the instructions? Or who is writing the program? So based on user's instruction, the processor does some process. Based on the processor process, it is producing the output in the output device. There are four main components of a computer. First one is input unit. These are various input units available in the computer. Example, keyboard, joystick, microphone, mouse and light pen. These are various input devices used in the computer. Second one is central processing unit. CPU is a processor, Intel processor plated with gold to avoid rusting. Okay, in this processor contain three important parts. One is arithmetic logic unit, control unit and registers. Registers are simply called it as internal memory unit. So there are three parts in the central processing unit. First one is arithmetic logic unit, control unit and internal memory unit. Next, the third one is memory unit. There are two different types of memory unit. One is primary memory and second one is secondary memory, secondary storage device. Next, fourth component is output unit. These are various images for output devices. Next, we can see the block diagram for components of a computer. So in this block diagram contains all the four units of a computer. Input unit, central processing unit, memory unit and output unit. So input unit is used to feed data to the processor. So processor, it contains three components. Control unit. Control unit is the main part of the CPU. Control unit control all the operations of computer. So all the parts of the computer connected with this control unit. This input unit connected, main memory, secondary storage, output unit, arithmetic logic unit, internal memory, all the parts connected with the control unit. So control unit can control all the components of the computer. Next, the second one is arithmetic logic unit. That is all the arithmetic operations like addition, subtraction, multiplication and division, and logical operations like and or exclusive or etc. also will be done by this arithmetic logical unit. So based on this only it is going to take final decision also. Next, currently working operations will be stored in this internal memory, which is called it as register. Next, memory unit, main memory and secondary memory. All the process will be done through the main memory only. So directly we cannot give the data from the keyboard to this processor. Okay, first it will come to main memory. From main memory only this will give the data to the processor. Next, if you want to store the data for future purpose, you can store data in secondary storage. So after that, finally the result or output will be displayed in the output unit, which is the monitor. The simple basic block diagram for computer. Next we can see the input unit. What is the use of input unit? Input unit is used to feed any form of data to the computer. That is the main purpose of input unit. Input unit only give information as a input to the computer. There are various different types of input unit. Example, keyboard, mouse, scanner, trackball, light pen, barcode reader, microphone, etc. These are all various examples for input unit. Second one is central processing unit, which is called it as CPU. CPU is the major component of a computer. It is also called it as heart of the computer. The central processing unit accepts the binary data as a input. Why it has to accept binary data as a input? Because CPU knows only binary numbers 0 and 1 only, which is called it as low level language or machine dependent language. But we know only high level programming language. So the high level language program must be translated into binary numbers, which is in the form of machine language. So for that we are having separate translators. So by using the translators we can convert high level language program into machine language. That machine language only accepted by the processor as a input and do the process according to the instructions given in the program and provide the result as a output. There are three basic components for the CPU, central processing unit. First one is arithmetic logic unit, control unit, and third one is memory unit. These are the three important components of central processing unit: control unit, arithmetic logic unit, and internal memory. So first one is arithmetic logic unit. The arithmetic logic unit performs arithmetic operations such as addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and logical operations. All these operations will be done by arithmetic logic unit. And finally, the result of an operation is stored in the internal memory of CPU, which is the register. Then control unit is a main part of the central processing unit. This control unit controls the flow of data between CPU, memory, and input-output devices. It controls the entire operation of the computer, which is the main part. The control unit only control all the operations of the computer, all the parts of the computer. That is main important. Next, the third one is internal memory. Internal memory is the smallest, at the same time it is very fastest memory located in the CPU in the form of registers. That is very important. Next, the third component is output unit. An output unit is any hardware component that conveys information to the users in an understandable form. Any device we can consider as an output device that must be convey the information to the user. Example, monitor, printer, etc. These are all called it as an output device. The fourth component of the computer is called it as memory unit. What is the use of memory unit? Memory is used to store the data or store our informations. Actually, there are two types of memory. One is primary memory and second one is secondary memory. The primary memory is used to temporarily store the programs and data. Temporary storage. The primary memory is a volatile memory. Why means The content is lost when the power supply is switched off. That's why it is called it as a volatile memory. Example, random access memory, RAM is called as a primary memory, volatile memory. It is also a main memory. Then secondary, the secondary storage memory is used to store the data permanently for long purpose. Okay. Here the secondary memory is a non-volatile memory. Why it is means the content is available even after the power supply is switched off. Here we can store the data for long purpose. That's why it is called as secondary storage. It is also a non-volatile. Example, hard disk, CD-ROM, DVD-ROM. DVD means digital versatile disk. When you see the CD, DVD both are the same, but in CD we can store only 700 MB of data only, but in DVD we can store up to 17 GB of data. That is a digital versatile disk. This is an example for secondary storage device. Then nowadays we are using this pen drive also. It's a secondary storage device. Next, important question and answers given from this topic. This topic is very small topic only, but most of the important questions available in this topic. First question, all these questions taken from our book only. So first one is name of the volatile memory. So here RAM, PRAM, ROM are read-only memory. PRAM, EPRAM all are non-volatile memory only. Here RAM only volatile memory. When the power switched off, the data also will be lost. That's why it is called it as volatile memory. Identify the output device. Keyboard, here keyboard is input device. We know that memory is a storage device. Next, monitor is output device. Mouse is also input device. Next, identify the input device. Printer, all we know output device. Mouse is input device. Answer is mouse only. Then plotter is output device, projector also output device. Then the fourth question, what are the components of a CPU, central processing unit? Arithmetic logic unit, control unit and memory unit. These three are the components of central processing unit. What is the function of arithmetic logic unit? So here the arithmetic logic unit performs all arithmetic operations such as addition, subtraction, multiplication, division and all logical operations also. Then finally take some decisions. Then the result of an operation is stored in the internal memory of the CPU. Next, write the functions of control unit. The control unit controls the flow of data between CPU, memory and I/O devices. Control all the devices. Okay. It can also control the entire operation of the computer also. So it is called as a control unit. What is the function of memory? Memory is used to store the program or data. There are two types of memory, primary memory and secondary memory. Then differentiate input and output unit. Input is input device. Input device is used to feed the data to the computer. Feed any form of data to the computer. Examples, keyboard, mouse, scanner, trackball, light pen, barcode reader, microphone, etc. The output unit is any hardware component that conveys the information to the user in an understandable format. Okay, any hardware component which must convey the information to the user. Example, monitor and printer. Next, distinguish between primary and secondary memory. Primary memory is used to temporarily store the programs and data. The primary memory is a volatile memory, that is the content lost when the power supply is switched off. Example, RAM, random access memory is the example for primary memory. Then secondary memory is used to store the data permanently storage for long purpose. Next, secondary memory is a non-volatile memory. Long volatile means the data will be available even after the power supply is switched off. So example, hard disk, CD-ROM, DVD-ROM are example for secondary memory. Next, explain the basic components of a computer with neat diagram. This is very important 5 mark question. If you read this question, you can answer for any type of questions. First, introduction you can write. Computer is the combination of hardware and software. Hardware means physical components of a computer. Next, write examples: motherboard, memory devices, monitor, etc. Next, software is a set of programs or instructions. Already we have studied this. Next, both the hardware and software together, the computer make the function successfully. Next, parts of computer. 4 main components: input unit, central processing unit. The central processing unit contains 3 parts again: arithmetic logic unit, control unit, internal memory unit. Next, memory unit and output unit. These are 4 main components of a computer. Next, block diagram of a computer. So all the 4 components given here. Next, input unit explained. First, what is the use of input unit? Used to feed any form of data to the computer. Then examples given. Then central processing unit. This is the main component. Accept the data in binary form and do the process based on its instructions and provide the result as a output. Then it has 3 parts: arithmetic logic unit, control unit and memory unit. First, arithmetic logic unit. All arithmetic and logical operations will be done in this arithmetic logic unit. Finally, the result of the operation stored in the internal memory of CPU. Then logical operations of arithmetic logic unit make the decision of the process. Next, control unit. Control unit controls the flow of data between CPU, memory and I/O devices. It can control all the operations of the computer also. Next, internal memory. Internal memory is the third component of central processing unit. This is the smallest and fastest memory located in the CPU in the form of registers. Then output unit. Output unit is any hardware component that conveys the information to user in an understandable form. Example: monitor, printer. Then memory unit. There are 2 types of memory unit: primary memory, secondary memory. Primary memory is used to temporarily store the programs and data. The primary memory is also a volatile memory. Volatile means the data will be lost after the power switched off. Example: random access memory. Then secondary memory is used to store the data permanently, which is non-volatile memory. Non-volatile means the data will be available even after the power supply is switched off also. Example: hard disk, CD-ROM, DVD-ROM, etc. Thank you.